Now, another aspect of money mastery is the cash gap. This is the number one reason why perfectly healthy, growing businesses go bust. And it's very important that you understand this because it applies to every business on earth. But the example that I'm going to share with you is a manufacturing example. And I want you to imagine that we're a business that manufactures widgets. And we make our widgets from raw material, which is in this instance sheet metal. So on day zero, our raw materials arrive on site and they go into our warehouse. And because our suppliers are good people, they give us 30 days terms. And because we're good people to do business with, we pay them on day 30, meaning that on day 30, the cash has now left our business. Now that raw material went into the warehouse, it then got put into the factory to get machined and turned into widgets, and then got put into the shop. And on day 60, somebody comes into the shop and says, I'll buy them. So we give them to them. And because we're lovely people to do business with, we end up giving the customer 60 days to pay us. Meaning that in this example, on day 120, the money came back to us. It left on 30 and came back on 120, meaning that the cash gap in this instance was 90 entire days. Now, I refer to cash as the oxygen. Without the cash, we cannot survive. Therefore, that isn't a very, very good situation. And what we have to do is understand, firstly, what our cash gap is, and secondly, what we can do to close it. So if I look at the left-hand side of the cash gap, how do I close that a little bit more to the right so that the amount of time that oxygen is out is reduced? Well, one of the best things that we can do is to renegotiate with our suppliers to see if we can get a better deal. One person many, many years ago is a builder. He listened to this and he went away and he made phone calls to some of his suppliers. And he told me that in 35 years in being in business, he'd never once asked them for a better deal. Just by picking up the phone, he managed to save himself £35,000 a year. What's the worst that anyone can say if you ask them for a better deal? The only thing they can say is no. But somehow we've got to keep that money for a bit longer. I'm not advocating not paying your suppliers. That's not in my values. But what I'm saying is renegotiating terms. So how about the other side? How about the right-hand side? How do we bring that line to the left so the money comes in quicker? Well, fundamentally, the most powerful thing we need to do is to ensure that we have good, robust credit control processes in place. Debtors, one of the most emotive subjects in business. One of the areas where business people don't want to go because it's so scary. They don't want to affect relationships. Well, here's my belief that people pay people that call them the most. If you simply send your invoice out to your customers and expect them to pay and just hope they'll get back to you, then you'll be on their list somewhere. Whereas if you're on it all the time, they're much more likely to pay you. Now, for those of you that are in dealing with businesses, bigger corporate businesses or dealing with the public sector, then please get to know the people in the accounts departments. Get to know them on first name terms so that when yours is number 30 in their list and you need paying quickly, they're much more likely to put yours to the top of the list because you've built a bit of rapport and a personal relationship with them. So a lot of people say to me, Jazz, but we're not in manufacturing. Cash gap doesn't matter to us. We're in, for example, the service sector. Well, you've still got to pay your wages. The money has still got to go out. So how long is it out for? How long does it take to go back? And how do we close the cash gap?